So I'm here today with Danny Cummins, who is the Marketing Director of Building Technologies for Siemens. Welcome to MIPIM.
Morning.
Siemens is doing a lot of interesting things in the building technology space. Just tell us a bit about what you're doing here at MIPIM. What are your main objectives here at MIPIM?
Well, Siemens is present with a couple of venues. We're on the Munich stand. Our real estate group is part of the Munich stand. We've got our industry sector as part of the Manchester stand. But we took the opportunity, it's the first time you've had this building innovation area. So we thought that was a good opportunity for us to come and discuss, let's say at a higher level, one level above, decision makers, investors, owners. We tend to come normally, the building technologies, at lower in the food chain. So the engineers and the contractors and below. So this is a good opportunity, and we've already seen on a few occasions so far that people are actually interested in what the technologies can do to make a building either more efficient or safer or more attractive to potential tenants.
So just talk about where a company like yourself can play a role in future developments.
If you look at the way buildings are designed today, they're typically designed over phases. So you might end up with a big mix of products and solutions and services in a building, and typically the people that end up running and operating a building don't influence the design. Whereas what Siemens can do, and there are other companies that can do it, but what Siemens can do is to get involved at a very early stage with, let's say, the architects or the designers, the safety bodies, and even where you have buildings that are, let's say, enterprise solutions, where a company will have a production facility in China and a facility in Denmark and one in America, and they want the same standards. One of the advantages of being part of a big company is that we've got offices in lots of places, so we can, the Americans call it cookie cutter, the approach, so you can have the same solution here as you have there. And of course we're essentially a technology company, so we like to look at maybe thinking a bit more in forward way about some of the intelligent building solutions. Of course, the goal is not just to put technology into a building, it's to have a more energy efficient building which gives you a payback, a return on investment, or something that actually makes the building more profitable or more safe and secure for the people that work in it.
When you guys are looking 5 years out, 10 years out, what's your vision for the future of properties and property developments?
I think 5 years from now you'll see a lot more of a city approach to the way we do buildings. So that covers the whole infrastructure. Could be from the airport, passengers coming in, it could be the infrastructure of the transport systems, right down to the individual buildings and residences. So that's where I think, and Siemens seems to have a focus. And we, from the 1st of October, we set up a new sector, which is called the Infrastructure and Cities sector. So that's clearly the strategy of our company, and we believe that's where we'll be.
What are some of the ways that developers and technology companies can look to retrofit buildings to make them more adaptable for the future?
Well, the first point about the cities I totally agree with. We have a focus on what we call these mega trends. Urbanization's one, demographic change, people are living longer today, and then there's the whole energy scarcity, reduction of carbon emissions. So they're the three drivers that we call mega trends. And you're quite right, the fact is there are more people moving to cities. You know, there's in 20 years' time, 60-70% of the world will live in cities. So that poses different challenges. So the power requirements, the people flow of movement of people. And if you look at then the existing buildings, that, as you say, plays a role.
How important is it that city planners, urban planners, enter into closer dialogue with technology companies such as yourselves, property developers, investors? How important is this interchange and dialogue to try and ensure that cities of the future can be more green, more sustainable?
I think it's essential, but you need to have a vision, or you need to have a goal in place. If one guy's got a goal of making the buildings more energy efficient, that's great. But to really have a city view on it, you need to make sure the power supply is optimised. You need to make sure that the traffic system is there. It's a whole city-wide view. So I think, Siemens is just one company. We're lucky because we have the 4 sectors of Siemens which cover energy, which would be the power supplies, power stations. You've got the medical sector, healthcare. You've got industry, and you've got our new sector, which is infrastructures and cities. All those 4 work quite well together. So if you take a typical city, it's dependent. If you look at the recent problems in Japan, they had a very good system in place to deal with that crisis, but it was terrible what happened. So having an integrated view with the power, to the communication systems, to the healthcare, which will play a role as well in the future. You need someone to come along and make a statement.
So look, we've just been asking this very broad question to a number of our guests, which is, if you had to sort of identify what you thought were the key trends that are going to be shaping property development over the next 5 years, what would be those big trends?
One we've already discussed, that's a given, and that's this whole green and sustainable topic. And that will just continue to grow in all the different vertical sectors, whether it's airports or schools or data centres or offices. So that's a clear one. Another one that I think, from a technology perspective, I think is that the issue of safety and security. It's kind of a boring subject. It's a smoke detector and it rings a bell. But again, people's well-being is important, and the safety of people is getting more attention. So we work on solutions now where the technology knows where and when an incident took place. So if you take, let's say, a security breach or a fire or a power failure, you know where that is. The systems are all networked. So the idea that you ring a bell and evacuate the whole of this building makes no sense. So that's exactly what will happen. If you set a fire in that corner, that detector picks it up. But there's a camera up there. So why not think a little bit ahead, and before you ring the bell, turn the camera on or send a picture to somebody that make a decision. So I think this intelligent response concept is something that will gain momentum, and it's something you can do today. You have lighting, so why not use the digital lighting, the LED lighting, in a situation to guide people and tell them where to go. So those 2 I think are close to my heart, and the last one I think would be, going back to the cities topic, to have an intelligent network, to make sure the power system is connected to the buildings, and the buildings are connected to the emitters inside the buildings. And the information at the end of the day is key, in that we're not doing anything now from an application standpoint that we weren't doing 20, 30 years ago. But now we live in a digital world. The information that we have now, I can send it to my phone, I can send it everywhere. The old analog solutions were just as accurate, but if you live in a digital world, that information becomes freely available. And all the buildings now have pretty standard IT networks with an IP protocol. So I think that would be the 3rd trend, this integration of buildings and even cities.
All right. Thank you very much for your time.
You're welcome.
So, and being your first time here, we hope you have a very busy and fruitful next few days.
Thanks very much.